As watch collectors, we can really get in the weeds of some discussion and take things very seriously. What's the right shade of blue on something? Is the new model of this watch better than the old model? What's the pricing of this? Where should the date window go? This brand better than that brand? Like, all of these different details kind of really get us riled up sometimes. But I think it's important to remember that this is a fun hobby. So we shouldn't take things too seriously. And with that in mind, let's have some fun and talk about 6 watch brands who know not to take watches too seriously. First up is Mr. Jones Watches. If you're unfamiliar with them, look at what they have to say about themselves, which is, we make statement watches that tell a story that starts a conversation or simply makes you smile. That's the exact point, having some fun with it. And when you see what they make, with probably the most famous being A Perfectly Useless Afternoon, or Feline Fine, or Time is Just a Social Construct, The Number Cruncher, all of these fun watches, you can see that this is about having a smile on your wrist, or something that's not to be taken seriously. They remind you not to take things too seriously. Mr. Jones understands that a watch is more than just about telling time. But Mr. Jones does take some things seriously, which is they work with individual artists. These styles are actually made in their factory in England while working with independent artists. So these styles aren't just made by a mass group or an in-house designer. They actually work with artists to create something different. Mr. Jones was founded in 2007, so they've been around a while and aren't just a brand new company. They've even worked with Christopher Ward recently for a GPHG nominated watch. So as much as they don't take things too seriously, they take it seriously enough to make a good product that people really appreciate. Next up is Swatch. And most of us know Swatch because they've been around since 1983. But it's worth remembering that up until that point, how many watches were just serious business or purely for sport? They weren't fashion and fun. And the idea of infusing art into it with the Keith Harings and Mickey Mouse and all of these other bright neon, or the infamous Bunny Sutra swatch, these watches were so much more fun that they became collectibles. They became something you wanted multiple of to fit with different outfits. And it was so popular when they came out in 1983 that the Swatch actually saved Swiss watchmaking. And eventually it became big enough to be the Swatch Group, which has Breguet and Omega and Glasuta Original and Mido and Hamilton and Longines and gobs of other brands. One of the big conglomerates, but honestly, it was Swatch and the business it had, the fun of watchmaking, that helped save movement manufacturing and ETA, which has led to basically most of the movements that are in mechanical watches now, from this little quartz plastic watch that was all about having fun. It's amazing what they've done in their 40 years they've been around, and all of the different styles. And yes, we know them for the Moon Swatch now, but they still have a lot of fun with these things. They still work with artists. They still create these fun, bright neon pieces. The Swatch is all about having some fun with watches, and that's what's fantastic. It's something that became so popular in the 1980s that it saved the watch industry. But really, it also brought in the idea of, you don't need a watch just to tell time. You don't need a watch to be taken so seriously. You can just have a watch because it's a fun fashion accessory. It's fun colors. The fun of watch collecting saved watches and did it through Swatch. Now, besides Swatch, one of the kings of entry-level watches is Timex. And Timex makes a lot of serious-looking watches with the Marlin and the Explorer for sports watches, and a lot of these sport-centric quartzes and classic mechanicals, but they've always had a bit of a fun side too. They have these fun colors. They work with Pac-Man and Snoopy and even the Second recently. They have a sense of humor about the watches. So as much as they like to make the standard production watches, which we all probably grew up having a few of, it's the fun watches also that I think we tend to really love as adults. It's the fun reminder that these are the watches we had as kids. I have a Pac-Man Timex I absolutely love. I know plenty of people that have some sort of fun Timex because it reminds them of the watch they first had as a kid and keeps that youthful energy of watch collecting in them, because it's a reminder that this should be fun, shouldn't be taken too seriously, and Timex keeps that alive for the young in us and the old that just are young at heart. A newer kid on the block is Studio Underdog, which has really ramped up the styling of different foods and drinks being the central core of their watches recently, from eggs, the pizza watches that have been delivered in pizza boxes, or drink cocktails that they've worked with other brands on. It's shown that you don't have to be too serious to earn the hearts of watch collectors. In their own statement, they say, "We don't just make watches, we make mischief with them." That's obvious. They like to have some fun here. They have said that our collaborations are proof that serious watchmaking doesn't need to take itself too seriously. They've done that with working with Moser and creating their own fun version of the watch, or working with Christopher Ward and creating these new styles of watches. In fact, they have a brand new collaboration with Christopher Ward that just came out with a pocket watch of all things, because who makes a fully loomed pocket watch nowadays? But there you go. They're having some fun with it. Nothing Studio Underdog has done has been about serious watchmaking. It's about having some fun, some mischief, as they put it. These things shouldn't just be about what's the most complicated thing you should do. They should also be about fun and being part of the community. In fact, they had a collector who sent in the sketch of their 11-year-old's daughter's idea of doing a pumpkin watch, and they loved the idea so much that they created the watch just for her. They only made 2 of these watches. One went to her, the other went to be auctioned off to charity. That's just enjoying your community, that they wanted to put an idea forward that matched your vibe, and you saw that as a watch company and went, yeah, you know what? We appreciate that vibe. We're going to make the watch for you and just you. It's such a cool thing to do. I know they can't do that with everybody, but just the fact it was done, and was done relatively early on when they were just starting to become popular, I think says a lot about them too. A personal favorite micro brand of mine is So Labs. Probably because that late 80s, early 90s aesthetic that feels right at home at Saved by the Bell and the Max brings me back to my childhood and makes me feel very old saying that. But it's a bit of a fun twist on this. Yes, this is a vintage aesthetic. I hate saying that because it is my youth, but it's a fun way of doing these watches. They look like they'd be part of Miami Vice or on Miami Beach, and they don't, again, take things too seriously to be able to make this kind of design. And if you like a little bit more seriousness in your watchmaking, one of the co-founders of this brand, Andrew Perez, is also the founder of Astor and Banks, which is another fantastic micro brand that makes great watches at a great price that's worth checking out. But for me, So Labs is the one that I keep wanting to look at. I keep wanting to buy. It's just a fun mix of colors and design. And if the watch doesn't speak to you, but you kind of like the style overall, they also do a desk clock, which is usually over my shoulder. It's one of those fun little things you can have, because sometimes there's only so many watches we can put on our wrists and we have in rotation, but we have plenty of desk space, and having a clock on the shelf or a desk that just shows that same vibe from the brand is a really cool addition. I honestly probably like the clock maybe more than the watches, but that's just a personal thing, and I hope they come out with a few more because I got more shelves that need clocks. And finally, somebody out there I'm sure has already said, what about H. Moser? You mentioned them earlier with Studio Underdog. And H. Moser has certainly come out with a few satirical pieces with the Swiss icons or the Swiss cheese watch, but those weren't production pieces, and their production pieces don't take things too seriously in the sense that the dials are very blank, but they're not full-on fun and silly. But their sister brand, Hot Lance, they like to have some fun. First off, if you don't know Hot Lance, they are a high horology brand that has this sphere jump hour that makes every other jump hour look like a child's toy in comparison, because it is so complicated and so cool to watch. But as much fun as that watch is, it's everything else they've done. It's a watch that looks like a 1947 radio because, oh, it's also a tourbillon. You can see that underneath the watch speaker. That's silly, fun, but high horology all at the same time. Now, if you're my age and you remember the Transformer watch when you were a kid, Hot Lance made that in a high horology watch. They really went out there and made a Transformer watch that costs like a high-end watch. It's for the kids in us that really have too much money and want something fancy yet fun on the wrist. They've even made one of those labyrinth toys for the wrist. Doesn't tell time. It's not really a watch. It's a toy on the wrist. But the fact that a high-end watch brand is willing to have enough fun with things and say, yeah, we'll make a toy too. We'll make a toy watch into a high-end watch. We'll make a toy into a wrist toy. Why not? because it's about having some fun. And this entire brand takes some of that ideas from Moser that was about having a little fun and poking at the industry and going just running off with it. Hotlands just has some really fun watches. It's a hierology brand, but at the same time, none of it takes itself too seriously. It's about making a great watch that still has that childhood joy in it. It's still that reminder of no matter where the watch is on the price spectrum, there should be some sort of fun involved. Again, as watch collectors, we spend so much time arguing over the littlest things, the newest updates, that we need to remember that this is about having fun. And once in a while, you need to grab one of these watches, put it on, and capture that childhood joy, the fun of watchmaking, the fun of watches, the artistry of it, the silliness of it, the childhood of it. Anyways, I hope one of these spoke to you. I hope one of these brought a smile to your face. And if there's a watch that brings a childhood smile to your face that reminds you that watches shouldn't be taken seriously, let us know in the comments which one it is, and have a good one.